You became an entrepreneur to make money. And don't forget, you became an entrepreneur to have a life. This is the Savvy Podcast, helping entrepreneurs connect with the vision that's bigger than themselves. Learn how to stop trading in your wife or husband and kids for your success. Get ready to have your beliefs about traditional leadership methods challenged and learn how to enjoy massive productivity gains and in less time than you can believe. This is the Savvy Podcast.
Welcome to the Savvy Podcast. I'm Tom Henschel, and today I have the privilege of hosting Tom Henschel for a brief chat. Tom is an executive coach. He's been coaching corporate leaders for 30 years, since before it was called coaching. He's also the host of a popular podcast, The Look and Sound of Leadership, and he's been producing that since 2008. So welcome, Tom. It's an absolute privilege to have you with us today. Whereabouts on this entertaining planet we call Earth are you currently residing?
I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Fantastic. And have you kept safe from these fires and crazy stuff that's been happening over there?
Yes, although I know many people who were affected by them. They didn't affect me where I live, but yeah, a lot of orange sunsets. Very creepy, Tim. Very creepy.
Yeah, it's scary, man. It's one thing that scares me is those fires, big time. It's the power of them is frightening, right?
Yeah. Oof. Yes.
Just before we jump into 7 questions in 7 minutes, I'd like to just do a little pivot to what we normally do, and I'm sure the audience would appreciate this, is that looking through, you've obviously got a very modest intro, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about the actors. You've been involved in some acting and some various other interesting pieces and plays, and I'd love to hear a little bit about how that influenced your life as a coach as well.
Wow. Well, so yes. So I'm in my 60s. My first career was as a professional actor. I was trained at the Juilliard School Drama Division. I graduated that with my Actors Equity card, and I started to work as an actor as a very young man.
Yes.
And worked until I was in my 40s.
Yes.
A lot of television, a lot of big theater with big stars. I mean, it was fun.
Yes.
But it's a hard way to make a living.
Yeah.
So that was my first career, and I got to do a lot of fun stuff and shoot television and play with explosives and get licked by a bear. I mean, I got to do some fun stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I saw that coming through. I was like, I'm just going to have to touch on that because it's just there's just some little bit more interest there, which is absolutely fantastic. So,
well, thanks.
let's jump in. Let's jump in. And there's, are you familiar with Victoria LeBon? She's a person that she coaches in speaking. Actually, she's got a thing called Rock the Room. But she's also an actor. She's an actor, and she's brought it across to public speaking, and it's just a really fascinating tweak. And
well, Tim, when I transitioned from acting into this thing that started as corporate training,
yes,
the very first thing I ever taught was presentation skills, right? Because it was what I knew. Yeah. And I had directed in theater. I had no problem. I mean, the very first coaching job I ever got was by accident, where someone said to me, "Can you work one-on-one with 3 of our division presidents?"
Yeah.
Like I say, it wasn't even called coaching. Yeah. They didn't, I mean, and I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, I can do that." And we were working on presentation, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So that was a natural thing. It sounds like that's right. Sounds like that's what she's doing too. Yeah. That's great.
Exactly right. Yeah, she's an amazing individual. So let's jump on to 7 questions in 7 minutes. So I'll just kick off the timer now and we'll get cracking on into it. So who's your ideal client, Tom?
Fortune 500.
Yes.
Vice president and above.
Beautiful.
That's it. That's my ideal client.
Nice and simple. I love a man who knows what he's looking for. So number 2 is...
Well, and that's my target. Yeah.
So what's the problem you solve?
No, go ahead.
Sorry, we've got a bit of a lag here on the internet, but we'll make that work as best as we can. So number 2, what's the problem you solve for that client?
So when you think about those men and women who are vice presidents in big companies, there's often a barrier for them at some point. And when it needs to be solved in the channel around communications or influence, relationships, people in that channel, that's the problem I solve.
Beautiful.
That's what I do.
Beautiful. So if they're sitting here today listening to us, and some of them will be, what are the typical symptoms people will experience when they have that problem?
I wish there were typical symptoms. I wish that were true, but think of all the different ways we deal with people, right? I mean, everybody's got their own style. Everybody's got their own crazy. It's like, there's no typical symptoms. I think the symptom that shows up for me is that whatever's the next best thing that leader wants, they're not getting it, or it's coming too slowly, or there's something in the way. That's the symptom.
Yeah. So that they're missing that next aligned action piece. Would that be fair?
Maybe. Is that the question? What's the action? Yeah. So here's what I think the next action is. If something's in your way, you have to find out what it is, which means you have to get feedback. So I think the next free action is find a way to get good, meaningful feedback. And listen, I have this little tiny free card. I would be happy to send it to people about, literally, it's just about soliciting feedback. Get good feedback.
Yeah, fabulous, absolutely fabulous. So, common mistakes people make when they've got stuck in this little hole that we're talking about.
Yeah.
What are the common mistakes people make when they're trying to solve this?
So think about this. If I'm in the channel with you around people and influence and relationships and all that, and that's where the problem is.
Yes.
Then usually you're really good at something else around, let's say, tasks and productivity and getting stuff done, right?
Yes.
I think the most common mistake is that people go to their strengths and turn up the volume there and do more of that because they don't have the skills to develop their underdeveloped side, or they'd already be doing it, right? Exactly. That's the most common mistake, I think, is go to your strengths and turn that louder.
Yes. Beautiful. And I love that reference to the feedback as well. It's a critical part of the loop as far as bringing out the best in yourself. You made reference to a card you've got you can send people. So the next question is around the valuable free resource that you can offer someone that's solving a problem. So I'd love you to speak to that for a few seconds.
Our website has a ton of free resources, like that feedback card, yes, of course, but we have an archive of 12 years of the podcast and you can sort through it by different categories like leadership or assertiveness or management skills or whatever, right? I mean, there's just lots and lots there. So that's a free resource. Help yourself. You can listen to the podcast. You can download it as a PDF, whatever works for you.
Yes.
So
Beautiful. And so where do we direct people? This is essentialcom.com. Is that where we're heading?
Yeah. It is the Essential Communications website, essentialcom with 2 M's, essentialcom.com. Yeah, right.
Beautiful.
Great.
Beautiful. And we will pop, for those listening, we will pop the link into the details section on whichever platform that you're on so that you can click straight through. And last question, from all your years of experience, what's the most valuable free tip you can give our people today?
I would expand a little bit on something I kind of started before.
Beautiful.
Look, I think if you're going to be a successful leader, I think there's 2 things you have to do every day. Every day you have to deposit into both accounts. One account is this thing that I've been talking about, relationships, people, right?
Yes.
Influence. And you have to do tasks. You have to be productive. You have to hold people accountable and hit your measurements.
Yes.
You have to do both every day. And the problem is none of us are evenly balanced.
Yes.
We're all strong on one side more. So my tip is find out where you can develop and work on your less developed side, just to bring it up a little.
Yes.
Just to bring it up a little. That's all.
Yeah. Beautiful. So it's been an absolute pleasure to host you, Tom. It's and very succinct. I love that. So someone that knows exactly what they're doing, this experience is shining through, which is absolutely fantastic. So those those
You said 7 minutes, right?
Yeah, you've got a minute and 30 left. So, boom, this is fantastic.
Woohoo!
Absolutely fantastic. So, those within the audience that this has resonated with, make the time, jump on to Tom's website, have a nosy. There's some fantastic stuff there, and been a pleasure to chat. No doubt we'll do it again soon.
Thanks a million. I'm glad to be here.
Cheers.
You've been listening to the Savvy Podcast, helping entrepreneurs connect with a vision that's bigger than themselves, stopping the trading in their wife and husband and kids for their success. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show, and we hope you had fun along the way. We know we did. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, if you want to know more about the Savvy Method, hit the website at www.thesavvymethod.com. We'll see you again soon.